Niacin is also known as vitamin B3, and it has a bit of a turbulent history when it comes to heart disease. So in the past, it used to be recommended as something to take to lower your cholesterol levels, but fast forward to now, and it's not recommended for cholesterol lowering anymore, and there's even talk that it might be harmful and linked to heart disease. It's a confusing space, and a couple of weeks ago, yet another research paper was published on this topic, this time saying that dietary niacin was linked with a lower risk of cardiovascular death, which means better heart health. So today I'm going to go through this study, explain it a bit more, and see what these results might mean for you. So let's go. Now, before I go any further, I do want to just do a little bit of a recap on niacin. I have done a video of this in the past, so if you want more in-depth explanations, go to my channel and check it out. I'll put a link in the description. But niacin, it's a B vitamin, and more specifically, it's known as vitamin B3. And it's important for your body because it's involved in energy production and also DNA repair. Now, the reason it's become a bit popular more recently is because niacin is actually a precursor to NAD. When you consume niacin, it goes through a conversion process and turns into NAD, which is essential for energy production in the body. And I think many of you by now actually might have heard about NAD and how it might play a role in slowing down the aging process. That's a new space and another video entirely, but regardless, niacin is your starting point for NAD, or it's one of the starting points for NAD, which is one of the reasons it's an essential vitamin that you need to consume and get from your diet. But other than energy, niacin has actually also been found to be important for brain health, skin health, and today's topic, heart health. Like I did mention before, it used to be recommended for lowering cholesterol levels, and because of that, people were told to take supplements for it. But what we then found out was that if you take too much niacin, which is what might happen if you take a supplement with high doses, then you can get some unpleasant side effects like flushing of the face, so that would mean you get redness in the face. It can be harmful to the liver, and it can actually then increase your risk of heart issues, which is the opposite of what people were actually needing it for, so not great. But that brings me to this new study and the topic of today's video. So here it is now, up on the screen. So this study uses data collected from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. This is a large population survey that was conducted in the United States. So for this study, what they did is they looked at the dietary niacin intake of over 26,000 adults. So that's quite a lot of people, which is always a good thing and what we like to see in studies. The researchers tracked dietary niacin. So this is the niacin that comes only from food and not supplements. They also looked at the health outcomes of these 26,000 people over 9 years to see if there were any patterns or links between their niacin intake and their health. And what these researchers wanted to see was if people who had more niacin or vitamin B3 from their diet were less likely to die from heart disease. So to find this out, they split the participants into 4 groups based on how much niacin they consumed, and then over the course of 9 years, they checked in to see what happened to these people. Well, now in 2024, we have the results. What they found was that people who consumed the most amount of niacin had a 27% lower risk of dying from heart disease when compared to the people who had consumed the least amount of niacin in their diets. The study found a pretty clear trend that as the amount of niacin went up in people's diets, the cardiovascular deaths reduced. You can see that on this graph here. We've got a bit of a trend line, and you might be wondering what amounts of niacin per day these people were taking. So as I said before, they were split into 4 groups. The lowest group, they were taking about 16.5 milligrams of niacin per day. This was coming through their diet. The next group, they had about 16.5 to 22 milligrams per day. Then your third group, they had between 22 to 30 milligrams. And then your fourth group, which was the people taking the highest amount, they were taking 30 milligrams or more a day of niacin that again was coming through their diet. Now, if we just go back to this graph, we can see that the benefits actually seem to taper off and stabilize after the 22 milligram a day mark. So that seems to be where you actually get the most benefit, and having more niacin does not give you more benefits above this amount. As we know, and as I've said in the video before, you can have too much niacin, so 22 milligrams coming from your diet here seems to be the sweet spot. Now, some of you may be confused because a few months ago, earlier in the year actually, there was a study that was saying that niacin might be linked to heart disease, which based on what this study today is talking about is the exact opposite. So let me explain. That was a study which found that the metabolites of niacin called 2-PY and 4-PY were linked to an increased risk of heart disease. That study itself didn't look at how much niacin people were actually consuming. All it did was find that these two compounds that niacin can produce when it's processed through your body, those compounds can be harmful to your heart. Now, it's actually really likely that the amount of niacin you would need to consume to get those levels of this 2-PY and 4-PY that are harmful to your health is much higher than what the people in this study were consuming in their day-to-day. And that's why this study found better results in terms of heart health. But this is just a good reminder that nutrients in their natural form, taken from food rather than high-dose supplements, behave differently in your body and give you more beneficial effects to your health. Plus, when you get niacin from your diet, you are also going to get all the other nutrients that come in those foods as well. So why is niacin then good for your heart? Well, it's likely to do with the NAD. NAD is essential for energy production, and you need it to make ATP, which is what drives most of the reactions inside your body. Now, your heart, that is one big muscle. So you need enough energy to make sure it's working for as long as you need it to and as well as you need it to. NAD also, as I said before, it's important for cell repair and can reduce inflammation. So that might be another benefit for heart health, but to be honest, that's a new and emerging space. We don't really know all of the benefits and effects of NAD. There isn't as much research about it, but it's continuing to be done and we are finding out more and more. So now you know what this new study has found. I do want to mention a few things about it. This is an observational study, so we can't look at these results and say that niacin prevents heart disease-related death. We can only say that there seems to be a link between higher dietary niacin intake and reduced heart disease-related deaths. It shows a correlation, not a causation, and we can't say for sure that it was niacin that was the reason that these people seem to live longer, only that it was associated with a better outcome. It could instead be that the people that had more dietary niacin, they had healthier lifestyles overall, maybe they had healthier diets overall because they were eating foods from all food groups. Who knows? We'll never actually know the whole picture. Now, the other issue is that the data and the information was from a population survey. So these aren't always accurate because you are relying on people to remember what they ate and how much they ate of certain foods. So we don't know how accurate the information regarding the food intake was. We do always need to take that with a pinch of salt. But here's what I think you should actually take away from this research. The first is don't overcomplicate things. Most people actually get enough niacin from their diets without even trying. Niacin is in a large range of food, from chicken to fish to coffee to fortified grains. So if you're having a balanced diet with food from all the food groups, I don't think you actually have anything to worry about, and you're probably meeting your requirements and getting that 22 milligram amount that this study found was the sweet spot of niacin intake. Don't go supplementing if you don't need to. That's the moral of the story. Niacin is one of those vitamins where you can definitely have too much. Stick to trying to get it from your diet, and it seems that based on this study, a moderate amount of niacin that's consumed from your diet is beneficial for health, especially in terms of your heart health. Niacin is an essential nutrient. If you don't get enough, there is an issue. But if you have too much, there's also an issue. So be careful and stick to getting it from the foods that you're eating. So that's all I have to say about this for now. If you want to learn more about nutrients and chronic diseases, then check out my channel. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep playing the long game.